A very good morning to all of you and a very warm welcome to. My name is Cindy and I'm the Executive Director of CFA Society Malaysia. On behalf of the Society, I would like to thank all of you for your time this wonderful morning to our information session on Supercharge Your Career Through Learning. Before I go on further, I would like to touch on some housekeeping rules. So this session is scheduled for 90 minutes. It will be recorded and we will share with all of you the recordings later. We do welcome comments and questions in the chat box. Please, along the way, if you feel you have any questions for our two guest speakers today, just type in there. We will be addressing it at the Q&A session. Okay, I will run through with you the agenda for this session. First, I will introduce to all of you our two special guest speakers, and then I will just touch briefly on who and what CFA Institute, as well as what CFA Society Malaysia is all about. And then I will be passing the floor to our two special guests who will be touching on the CFA Program, Certificate in ESG Investing, Investment Foundation Certificate, and as well as other certificates. And then we will, once they're done, we'll open up the Q&A to address all the queries that you have. And yes, please take the opportunity to ask all the questions that you would like to via the chat box. Okay, introducing to our two special guest speaker next. We have two ladies all the way from Hong Kong. Well, actually, they are still in Hong Kong. That represents the CFA Institute Asia Pacific, and they will be delivering this interactive session to inspire and empower you to make a positive impact on your career trajectories. So, firstly, Regina. Regina Abdullah is the Director, Partnerships and Client Solutions for APAC from CFA Institute. She's responsible for business development and stakeholders engagement across Southeast Asia and Pakistan. She works very closely with all the societies at the Asia Pacific side to develop and drive market plans, as well as deliver value to key constituents. In addition, she serves as a strategic consultant to advance professionalism and strong governance within the societies and ensure alignment of the objectives and effective collaborations too. Okay, next will be Lawrence Wong, in tandem with Regina. Florence also forms in tandem with Regina, these two forms a formidable duo, leveraging on the collective expertise to navigate complexities and unlock opportunities across the region. Similar to Regina, Florence is the dynamic force in CFA Institute Asia Pacific. Okay. Without further ado, I shall just quickly introduce to all of you of CFA Institute as well as CFA Society Malaysia. So CFA Institute is the global non-for-profit association of investment professionals that set professional excellence since 1947. Its mission is to lead the investment profession globally by promoting the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of the society. Globally, they have a very large network connectivity with over 190,000 CFA charter holders, where over 25,000 firms employ these charter holders. They also have 650 plus affiliated universities with over 160 societies around the world, where CFA Society Malaysia is one of them. The programs by CFA Institutes are recognized by 60 over regulators in 40 over markets. Thus, they have been positively impacting the investment profession since 1947 for over 75 years now. So where Malaysia is concerned, we have been around for over 26 years, and we are very closely aligned to the CFA Institute's vision and mission as well, to be achieved through our four pillars, which are operational excellence, develop future professionals, deliver member value, and to build market integrity. So locally, we also have a very large local network with about over 950 CFA charter holders, where 250 plus firms in Malaysia employ these charter holders. We also have our employer recognition program running in its 4th year this year, and we are proud to announce that we added 4 more, making it in total 24 employer partners, which is broken down to 8 premium as well as 16 recognized employer partners. And we also have about 1,000 plus candidates about to take, or rather already in their CFA program journey. And we hope some of you here would also follow suit. And in Malaysia, we have 16 affiliated universities. So yes, I shall now pass the mic to Rosina. Please enjoy the session, and over to you, Rosina.
Thank you very much, Cindy, and good morning to everyone. So Cindy, thank you very much for introducing us as well. So myself and Florence are part of the Asia Pacific team here in Hong Kong, and we're primarily focused on business development, and we work with the societies in Southeast Asia and Pakistan. So it's a pleasure to be here speaking with all of you. I think we have a good mix of our candidates as well as students and members as well. So hopefully everyone takes away something today. So Florence and I are going to take you through some of the CFA Institute learning offerings. And as Cindy mentioned earlier, please feel free to pop your questions in the chat box along the way. We will have some time for Q&A at the end. But if anything strikes your mind as we go along, please feel free to put that into your chat, into the chat box. So with that, let me just bring my screen up and then we can get into it. Just make sure everyone's seeing the full screen, or is this the presenter mode? Is it full screen?
No, it's a presenter mode.
Okay, hang on, let me redo that. It's clearer. 1 second. Sorry, everyone. Is better now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me start with a brief introduction about CFA Institute. I think Cindy touched on some of this earlier. So yes, we are indeed the world's largest association for the investment professional. And we are made up of a vast network of our members, societies, as well as our key constituents within the financial services industry around the world. What I wanted to highlight is the mission of CFA Institute, which is to lead the investment profession globally by promoting the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of society. So I guess for today's presentation, we'll focus a little bit more on the the education and professional excellence and through our learning offerings and how that we use that to advance this mission. So I'll begin with the CFA Charter, which I think is, of course, synonymous with CFA Institute and probably the most well-recognized and well-known credential out there. It is often regarded as the gold standard investment credential. I think many of our candidates and charter holders will tell you the curriculum is indeed rigorous. It is notorious for the very difficult exams. And so that's something that is intended to help develop our investment professionals with an unmatched expertise as they get into the market. Currently, we have over 190,000 investment professionals around the world, and it's truly global. We have presence in over 160 markets. Of course, we also, with that comes along the recognition by regulatory bodies as well, which has also earned us waivers for certain licensing requirements in some markets. And of course, as Cindy touched on earlier as well, our vast university network and how that they have also recognized the CFA program. So we have a university affiliation program with 650 plus universities around the world that have incorporated the CFA program curriculum into their degree programs. And so that means a candidate who is going through these degree programs, essentially it's a dual preparation. They're getting through their degree, but at the same time also preparing for the CFA curriculum, the CFA program. Now, the path to becoming a charter holder, I think this is probably quite well known, but I'll just quickly recap it. It consists of 3 levels. So level 1 to 3, and passing each of those exams will be key. And after that, the application to become a member, so that will also entail attesting that you have met the required work experience, the 4,000 hours, as well as the professional references that will then help to supplement the application. So that is the path to becoming a charter holder. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the CFA program itself. Indeed, it has evolved a lot over the years. In fact, last year, for some of you who don't know, we actually celebrated the 60th anniversary of the CFA program. So the first CFA exam was administered in 1963. And of course, since then, needless to say that the market, the industry, as well as the program itself has really changed. But never more so than it did, I would say, in the last year or so, where we've introduced some of the most significant changes to the CFA program. And I wanted to touch a little bit on those today. So what are those changes? Here are the 6 that you see here. And I'll go into a bit more detail with the next slide. But first, we have expanded the eligibility rules for the CFA program. We've introduced practical skills modules. We've streamlined the level 1 curriculum. We've introduced a practice pack. We're also soon going to be launching specializations at level 3. And we also now have recognition for level 1 and level 2 passes. So let's start with the eligibility change. I know some of you may be university students here, so this might be the most relevant to you. And that is that we have expanded the rules for one who wants to register for the level 1 program. In the past, it used to be that you had to be at least in your last year of undergraduate studies before you could register for CFA level 1. But because we've heard time and again from the industry, from students, from academia as well, that the students want to really start on their CFA program journey as soon as possible. And in response to that, we've now expanded that eligibility. So as far as you are within 2 years of graduating, you can already start to apply for level 1. And I think the feedback has been great so far since we've gone to market with this. Students especially are using this as a signal to potential employers as well, that they are serious about a career in the investment industry, and that has also then opened doors for them to secure internships or other job opportunities. So that's the first change. Second one is the practical skills module. Now this has just gone live, starting with the February level 1 exams. And so this is also a direct response to what we're hearing from the market, that they want professionals that are really job ready and have the practical knowledge and skills. And so with that, we've introduced mandatory practical skills modules at level 1 and 2 starting this year, and next year for level 3. And for level 1 and 2 here, you'll see the topics that are available. So for a candidate to complete or to be able to clear each level of the exams, they'll have to go through this mandatory practical skills modules. Now, these are not they're not tested within the exam, but they will, at any point between the time of registration and before the release of the exam results, the candidate will have to complete one component. So they have, for a level 1, you have an option of either taking the financial modeling practical skills module or the Python fundamentals modules. And then for level 2, analyst skills, and as well as a more advanced Python module. So these PSMs, or practical skills modules, are anywhere between about 10 to 15 hours of learning. They comprise videos and as well as practical assignments, so that you can actually you actually leave that coming away with some knowledge as well as actual skills that you can start to apply in your job. So that's the second one, practical skills module. Third one is the level 1 curriculum that we have streamlined. So we've heard time and again that you may have actually heard as well the brand promise for CFA Institute, which is 300 hours of study. And increasingly over the years, we're hearing from candidates and their feedback that that has not really necessarily been the case. In fact, they're studying a bit more than 300 hours. And so in order to bring back to ensure that we're streamlining the study time, we've re-looked the curriculum for level 1. And what we've identified is that some of the foundational knowledge that typically is what we assume most candidates will already have coming into the CFA program, we've taken that component out and turned this into prerequisite readings. So you'll see here the content is actually previously used to make up about 12% of the curriculum. So we've taken this out and put it into 3 different volumes. So you have the quant methods, economics, as well as financial statement analysis. So for example, if you don't have a finance background, this can be your pre-reading before you actually embark on the program. And if you already have one, this could be maybe a bit of a refresher, or you don't have to go through that content again, and certainly it will not be tested in the exam. So that makes it a little bit cleaner and a bit more streamlined as well in the focus of the level 1 curriculum. So that's the third one. The fourth evolution we've made is the introduction of a practice pack. So this is, we hear from candidates all the time that what they're always looking for is more questions to be able to practice ahead of time. And in fact, our statistics as well show that the more a candidate practices or has the option to or access to practice questions, higher the chances of them passing the exam. And so with that, we have developed a practice pack that can be purchased at $299 for any candidate. And what that will give you an access to is 6 additional mock exams, 1 exam day experience, which is an actual simulation of what the real exam looks like. So you can actually test out what the platform and get a feel of what you will actually encounter on the day of the exams. Additionally, you also get 1,000 practice questions and access to the PDF files of the curriculum. One thing I will also want to call out about the practice questions, they are written by the same team that actually writes the exams for write the questions for the exams. So essentially, the writers for these for the practice pack questions, they don't know where the exam questions are going to. So essentially, it really signifies that you will be getting exam quality questions as well. So there's no distinction between a practice pack question versus the real exam day questions. Now, the fifth change is the specializations at level 3 that will come into play next year. And what this was, how this came about as well is it's a response to the growth we're seeing in private markets as well as private wealth. And so with that, we're hearing from the industry, from candidates as well, the need to have more specialized knowledge in these 2 areas. And so for that reason, we're now introducing these 2 additional pathways. So that gives a candidate 3 options into how they want to specialize as they take the CFA charter. How this will work is at the time of registration, the candidate will decide if they want to go through the traditional portfolio management route or private markets or private wealth. And with that, the actual study material, 70% of it will actually remain the same across all 3 specializations. But about 30% will differ depending on the specialization that they actually choose. I guess a good analogy for this is, if you look at, for example, a law degree, you may decide to focus on a particular area of law, but you would still come up with the same degree. And so in the same way, the charter as well will not distinguish with what pathway a candidate chooses, but within their study material, they will see a slight difference as well. But it will all ultimately lead to that one charter. Okay, and then the last one is the recognition for level 1 and 2. Again, we always often hear the value of having that visibility for candidates that have cleared level 1 and 2. And again, it shows because for them it helps to also identify themselves as a passer or to show that they're on the way towards becoming a charter. And so for that, we have developed digital badging for level 1 and level 2 passers so that you can also display that and make that known to your social networks and to potential employees as well. Okay, so that is the CFA program changes. Now let me go into the next part of my presentation, which is on the sustainability stack. And so this is where I'll cover 3 of our learning offerings that are related to sustainability. The climate finance course, the certificate in ESG investing, as well as the newest kid on the block, the climate risk evaluation and investing certificate. So before I get into that, but we just do a little quiz, a bit of self-knowledge for everyone to self-test yourself to see how much you know about sustainability, because of course this is very much more than just a buzzword. It's something that it's on everyone's minds, and we certainly see that increasingly the want for the knowledge. So I'll get into each of those courses later, but let me just launch a poll now so that we can all do a bit of let me do this again. Okay, so do a bit of a self-test. So there are just 4 questions. So for a bit of fun, just go through each of them. I'll give you a few minutes for everyone to review the questions. Then we'll see what the answers come back like. So don't worry, there's no pressure, no right or wrong. I mean, there is a right answer, but there's no pressure to get it right. So I just want to make sure everyone's seeing it, and yeah, just feel free to start putting in your answers. Just give it a few more seconds, then we can start to go through the answers. I'm going to end the poll. Let's see the results here. Okay, so we see the answers here. So let's see, you can decide if you got the right answer. So the first one, ESG and CSR are often confused concepts. What are the following characteristics of CSR? So the correct answer, that it's qualitative, self-regulated, and implemented through corporate culture and values. Okay, second one, I can show everybody. Okay. Second one, what are some of the effects of climate change on the environment? So you're supposed to pick three. So the correct answer is increasing drought, increasing extreme weather events, as well as heavy and intense precipitation. Third one, what sector represents the largest share of greenhouse gases emissions globally? So the correct answer is actually electricity and heat production. So I think, yeah, about 30% of you got that. Great. Last question. Climate change represents several systemic risks to the financial system. So what are the main category of the risks? So the correct answer is actually liability, physical, as well as transition risk. Actually, existential is a bit of a trick question. If you're having that as an issue, I think might be out of scope for some of our programs. But anyway, fun to at least please go through them. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing that. And again, as I said, there's no, it's not intended to single out anybody, but just so that you know, there is some of the more fundamental questions. In fact, we actually do run a game show that we have built in-house as well. And we run this with mainly with firms right now. But it could be a good way as well as an introduction to some of the concepts of ESG and sustainability. Now, actually, most of this content as well is directly taken from the sustainability learning offerings, and that's what I'm going to go into a bit more detail here. So you'll see here the three courses that I mentioned: climate finance, ESG, as well as climate risk. And the way we have actually, we call this a stack because they, in some ways, they do build on each other, but also they're intended for very different learning purposes and objectives, and they offer different breadth and scope of sustainability as well. So if we look at the right here, the climate finance course, this is very much a beginner level, almost a small bite-sized learning offering. And then that is quite different to the ESG certificate, which certainly is much broader in terms of the scope of what you would learn. And then following that, the climate risk, which then really deep dive into the depth of climate piece. So let me go into a bit of detail into each of them now. Starting with climate finance. So this was a course that we developed together with ACCA, and it's really an introduction to climate change and the economic and environmental impacts. And it's also developed more as a practical course. These are some of the key learning outcomes for the climate finance course, intended to provide learners an understanding of climate change and the risk and consequences, governance and disclosure frameworks, carbon pricing and accounting, sustainable economy and business models, as well as then the practical component of integrating climate risk into investment analysis. So the course is self-paced and online. The estimated time or length of learning is about 8 to 12 hours. And typically the participant profile will be anybody who just wants to get a very basic view or understanding about climate change and climate change issues on the business environment. And there are no formal entry requirements. And upon passing completing the course, the learner will get a certificate as well as a digital badge. So that's the first piece. So this is for those of you who just want a taster, who just want to get a view of what sustainability and how that relates to investments. Now, let me go into the certificate of ESG in ESG investing. So this is certainly a level up from more of a level up from the climate finance course. So this is a full certificate that really focuses on the E, S, and G factors and how that will then factor into the investment decision-making process. It is also the knowledge that we're hearing from candidates as well. Almost 66% of them tell us that they can use their knowledge almost immediately in their jobs. And how they're doing that, for one, many of them are much more comfortable to become in-house experts within their organizations or be that go-to resource to be able to factor out, to be able to weigh in on ESG factors. Secondly, there's definitely more improved confidence in being able to participate in conversations about ESG and also being able to fill any knowledge gaps that they had previously. So who is taking this certificate? The certificate was essentially the functions that you see here are like the core of the learners, but increasingly we're seeing a lot more interest as well from the broader spectrum of the professions. So beyond just the portfolio managers or consultants or analysts, etc., we're seeing interest from functions such as legal, risk, marketing, and even our regulators as well. So again, I think it's testament to the fact that it's becoming so widespread, and this knowledge is really essential for almost every component of the industry. So how do you earn the certificate? This is a self-paced study program. From the time of registering, a candidate will have 6 months to sit for the exam. The recommended study time, as you'll see, is significantly more than a small bite-sized course. This is about between 100 to 130 hours is recommended. Again, there are no formal entry requirements or prerequisites, but having some prior investment knowledge would be helpful. But certainly there are as well additional learning materials that could help a learner without a background to get that necessary bolstering of their learning. The exam is a 2 hour, 20 minutes, 100 multiple choice questions. This is a proctored exam, which can be taken at any of our prometric test centers, or as well, we have online proctoring as well. This is what the breakdown of the certificate looks like. So it's broken down into 9 chapters. So you'll see the first two are more of the introduction modules. And then chapters 3 to 5 are the deep dive into the E, S, and G factors respectively. We also have a chapter on engagement and stewardship. Chapters 7 and 8 make up the bulk of the exam and the curriculum. And this is where you'll see the ESG analysis, valuation, as well as portfolio construction and how the E, S, and G factors factor in here. And then, of course, ending off with the analytics as well as client reporting. So in terms of study materials, we offer candidates several options. So the first is the learning ecosystem. So this is a every candidate will have access to this. It's an immersive and engaging and much more interactive way to learn. And this also allows candidates to customize their learning plan, be able to track their progress, and also gives them access to now 2 mock exams. In the past, it was 1. We've now increased that starting from this year to 2 mock exams. So again, additional questions for you to practice. We also have the PDFs that are made available. So if a candidate, for some of you who prefer to have a hard copy reading material, you're able to then have that. And if you want to print, want actually to purchase a ready print curriculum, that can be purchased at your own cost from Amazon. So I thought to also share here some of the adoption by global organizations, and we're seeing this uptake across the globe in many ways. So for some organizations, they've added the ESG certificate to their approved list of training courses. Some companies have made it mandatory for some of their functions, or even enrolling whole cohorts of employees, as well as then using or referencing the number of ESG certificate holders in their portfolios to be able to pitch to clients as well. So just some examples here, and you'll see some of these global firms, which might be quite familiar to everyone as well. So yeah, so this is just a summary slide, just capturing all the information. You can, of course, scan the QR code. You will get this presentation at the end of the session and the recording as well, so you can go through any of this material at your own time. So that's the ESG certificate. Now let me get into the last part of my presentation, which is the climate risk valuation and investing certificate. So as I mentioned, this is the newest certificate that we've just launched. Actually, just started this year, and this is a first of all, much more advanced certificate, and it's really focused on integrating climate principles, particularly into the investment decision process. The curriculum, as with almost all of our learning offerings, is actually informed and developed in consultation with real practitioners on the ground in the industry. So a learner will get real world knowledge that is topical and that is timely as well. What is new, especially for this certificate, is that we're introducing a new cohort learning model, which I'll go into a bit more detail in the next slide. And of course, then it's much more practical. The idea is to provide actual practical knowledge that can be immediately applied. So let me start with the cohort experience and what that means. So this is new to CFA Institute, but certainly not new to the learning world. You might be familiar with this cohort experience with many of our executive education programming around the world. And so this is the same thing that we have modeled with our climate risk certificate. The key reason we have done this is actually really to increase engagement, because this really allows a candidate to be able to get that global exposure, because all our candidates are coming from around the world, and that really provides for a much more richer experience in terms of knowledge exchange and sharing, and that's the learning experience really supports that as well. In addition to that, it's a mixed modality in terms of learning, so there'll be access to a lot of videos, readings, as well as interactive discussion forums, and even peer reviews as well, so that you're learning together, but there's also a component of self-learning. So this is what the cohort experience looked like. The entire course is broken down into 5 different courses. So you'll see there on the right the respective topics. The time commitment in terms of learning is about 5 to 6 hours of learning per week, and there will be one week of a gap before we start the next course. In terms of the learning activities, there'll be course materials as well as assignments that you'll complete in each week. And as mentioned earlier, there's also the peer evaluation, so you'll get to get direct feedback from other candidates. At the same time, also there'll be quizzes along the way. So there's a knowledge checkpoint. And then we've also incorporated live events, which are optional, but definitely strongly encouraged because it provides an additional layer of learning as well. So there is some flexibility in terms of the, having some time to study, and because the way it's spaced out as well, it's built entirely to suit all the different scheduling needs as well, because we know people will be on vacation, will be on a work trip, for example, so you may not have all that time, but there's always time to catch up, and we have facilitators and expertise as well to help a candidate to make sure that they're keeping in line with the rest of the cohort. So that's what that looks like. This is essentially some of the key job functions that we think will most benefit from this. Most of the candidates are actually already in these roles, but they're looking to expand on their knowledge. So portfolio managers, for example, consultants, chief sustainability officers, these are some of the more common recurring functions that we're seeing. And many of them, as well as I mentioned, are already sitting in these roles. So some of the key learning outcomes at the end of the course, I won't go into all of the details, but some of the skills that you can expect to get out of this: climate risk and adaptation, migration, transition planning, financial projections, as well as integrating climate risk. Okay, and so this is the just a summary slide as well. And as with all of our courses, there will also be, of course, a digital badge as well as certificate. I just wanted to call out as well that we have our first cohort that we've just launched in February is now in progress. And enrollment for the second cohort will begin, has already begun, and will start in May. The only there isn't like a hard prerequisite, but certainly at least a minimum level of either the CFA level 1 qualification or the ESG level certificate of knowledge would be recommended as well. Okay, so with that, let me pass the time over to my colleague Florence.
Thank you, Christina. There's a lot of information. I know everyone may not be able to think of the questions now, but really feel free to utilize the chat box. So ask any question which you may have, so we can go through that at the later Q&A sessions. So I'm going to go to review 3 certificates, which is the Private Market and Alternative Investment Certificate, Data Science Certificate, and Investment Foundation Certificate. So let's start by talking about the Private Market and Alternative Investment Certificate, which is a 5-course program introducing private markets and alternative investment. Basically, the content drawn from CFA Level 1 and 2 material and enhanced with the practitioner perspectives globally. So the why this certificate? This certificate is designed to give you a foundational understanding of these growing investment classes with content from practicing subject matter experts around the world. So the certificate teaches you the key features and differences between private equity, private credit, real estate and infrastructures, commodities, and hedge funds. So by earning this certificate, you learn practical application of leading private markets and alternative investment concepts. Built on the global recognized CFA program content, it also provides foundational level knowledge across alternative investment. So who are the target audience for this certificate? Obviously, we say it's for everyone. Really true for this one, because either you are new entrants to the private market industry, which you want to learn more, or you're already an existing industry professional who want to maybe looking to allocate to private market or the alternative investment fields, or you're a consultant who want to learn more about the industry landscape and terminology. So it's a really basic certificate which tailored to everyone's needs in the market. These are the topics covered by the certificate, which composed of 5 courses and also a final assessment. So you can see it really cover private market and alternative investment, private equity and private credit, real estate infrastructure, commodities and natural resources investment, and also hedge fund. And every courses will have a practical application exercise. And after you completed all 5 courses, you have to go through a final assessment, which is a 90 minutes multiple choice assessment. in order to get a certificate, you need to have 70% passing score, and you have 2 attempts to able to, if you fail for the first time. So this is an overview of the certificate itself. And as Rosina mentioned, many of our certificates are self-paced learning. So you can, it's online, you can learn it on your own space. And then the recommended length to complete is around 70 to 90 hours. The fees, we offer a discounted fees for members and also a standard fees of $899 for non-members for the public audits. So this is, as mentioned, this is an online exam with a 60 multiple choice questions and in 90 minutes, and you have 2 attempts to get the 70% passing score. If you're interested, please feel free to scan this QR code to get more information on this certificate. And we're very lucky today. We have a new a testimonial of someone who is locally finished this private wealth certificate to share with us some of his experience and what motivated him to do the certificate. Jeff, are you here? Yes, I'll pass the stage to you now, Jeff, before I talk about the other 2.
Sorry. Hi, greetings everyone. Okay, this is Jeff speaking. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to express my thought here. Allow me to provide a brief introduction about myself, right? So I elaborate how I obtained this certificate and how it can benefit me. So basically, I work as a boutique M&A advisors. So that, as a M&A bankers, right, we always have long working hours. At the same time, we need to deal with a lot of private equity and debt investors. So, that's why, hence during the CNY breaks, right, I was looking for something light, enjoyable, relaxing learning program. So that's why these, private market certificate come into pictures, right? So I think I make a right decision because these private market certifications, right, allows me to deep dive into various types of asset class, teaching me how I can differentiate myself with this investment based on their mandates and how I can strategize my deals, my project accordingly. Right? So, yeah, and at the same time, I also learned the structures of the real estate funds, infrastructures, commodities as well as hedge fund. That I think is quite interesting and I think it's very useful, especially for those that they want to know and understand the landscape, the industrial landscape of investment and also the terminology, including what is like, for example, GP, general partners, as well as LPs, right? So I know some of the guys will have to worry about is it a very difficult exam, is it stressful or not? So my answer would be no, because unlike some of others stressful exams, these will be more like relaxing types of the test with more interactions, So we can interact with the industry professional throughout the forum platforms, So you can imagine that, when I completed the test, I'm watching the TVs, together with my family during the CLI break. So anyway, so overall, I think it's an interesting program. Well, I don't want to oversell it. Okay, I think this program or this certificate could be valuable for anyone who want to deep dive into private market and alternative finance without, overwhelming. And last but not least, still again, as a CFA charter holder, I still want to, say CFA program still be the best program if you are looking for career progressions. Thank you so much. And over to you, Horace.
Thank you, Jeff. So I hope that after hearing Jeff sharing, you're more interested in finding out more about this certificate and even to get access to it. So, okay, the next one I'm going to share with you is the Data Science for Investment Professional Certificate. So this certificate is for learners who want to get practical understanding of data science and machine learning applications in the investment process. So by taking this certificate, learners will be able to explain clearly and translate machine learning concepts and their application to real-world investment problems. So we can basically easily translate to the concept and the learning to the non-expert audience and clients. So by understanding the language of data science to better understand and better anticipate the needs of your clients, which better serve their problem. And as the same as the private market certificate, this is also a 5 courses certificate, which include data and statistics foundations, statistical machine learning, and the natural language processes, and the data and the mitigating biases. And all similar, you also have a final assessment of 90 minutes multiple choice question online in order to assess the certificate. So who are the, I think I missed one slide. Anyway, let's move on. So as I said, the learning outcomes, which is really for you to understand, able to translate machine learning, so you can translate the language and make sure you can deliver to your clients and explain to them and to better serve their needs. And maybe there's one slide missing here. I want to emphasize who should be the target audience of the participant for this certificate is for analysts, portfolio managers, or relationship managers are seeking for practical knowledge in data science and machine learning fundamentals and the application investments. So it will be good for you to have some background in finance and investment, but no previous knowledge of Python is required. So this is the overview of the data science for investment professional certificate. As like other certificate is a self-paced learning, which you can do it anytime, anywhere you want. It will require a slightly more time than the previous one, which is 90 to 100 hours recommended. And there will be also online multiple choice question for your final assessment, which you need to complete in 90 minutes. And the price for the certificate is 1,599 for non-members and the discounted price for our members. As you can scan this QR code if you want to find out more information about this data science for investment professional certificate. Okay, let's move on to talk about investment foundation certificate. This is certificate which is to provide an overview of the essential for finance, ethics, and also investment roles to provide a very clear understanding of the global investment industry, including the terminology and also very foundational concepts, which is a little bit different from the previous certificate, as I mentioned. The target audience is more to individuals who are aspiring or already in kind of supportive roles in the investment or finance industry, which will benefit to professionals in marketing, sales, project management, really different job roles while you're working in the firms in relevant finance or investment industry. And let's take a deeper look to the topics covered. So we designed this new investment foundation certificate into 6 different topics. It covers from the industry overview to the marketplace, as well as in terms of the investment tools, and also some concept about valuations. And we know in this industry, serving clients is very critical. So we also have a dedicated course on serving client needs. And while ethics is fundamental, we also added this to cover a course to cover ethics and also diversity and inclusion. These 6 different topics made up of 6 different courses in the investment foundation certificate. And here are some benefits as if you're a learner after completing the certificate, what you can get. Of course, you can get a very significant boost in the investment professions and also the industry. You're going to get more engaged because you find the day-to-day conversation with your colleagues more relevant and you understand them more what they're talking about. And at the same time, you will have a more solid foundation understanding of the industry and how the whole ecosystem works, and about how your job roles are connected to each other, and you will feel more comfortable and knowing how you're going to add value to the industry. So you will have also a better sense and a better connection with each other because you're now able to think more critically in terms of the investment mindset. And as employers, you also contribute to the company after you learn certificate. So it's not only for you, but also for your employers, because you can showcase and you can also bring value to them by showing that you are now going to create a competitive advantage of yourself in your capacity. For example, because the learning design is run into very interactive, which I will share with you a little bit later, with examples, graph, discussion topics. So you'll be able to be more effectively communicate with your global colleagues and to understand the industry and the structure. So you can also showcase to your employers that you are very aware and stay on top of the hot topics and key issues, that you're able to identify them, and you're trained to think critically with the design of the certificate. It becomes more effective for you on your day-to-day tasks. So you're also upskilling yourself and broaden your career opportunities in your capacity. So I mentioned about the design of the certificate. It's a modularized structure and then break down into courses and lessons. So it is you can navigate yourself through the different lessons with a learning module under different course. So the whole journey can be very smoothly delivered on a layer by layer structure. And it is also self-paced, so you can learn at any time, anywhere, at your own time, and you have 12 months to complete the whole certificate. As I mentioned, the structured learning is one of the key features of this certificate. So the digital learning experience is backed up by a lot of videos and also a lot of interactive elements. So we are very confident that with this learning process, you are going to be able to learn more and be more engaging with the learning experience. And that's why all the 6 courses are designed in this manner with a lot of videos and interactive structure. So this is the overview of the investment foundation certificate. It is self-paced. We recommend 60 to 90 hours for our candidates to complete the program, and the final assessment is online. And you have to complete 100 multiple choice question in 140 minutes, and the cost is $350. And of course, after you complete the certificate, you get a digital badge which you can showcase on your social media. So this is also a QR code for you to scan if you want to know more. So that's for my part of the 3 certificate. Now I'll pass the time back to Celine, maybe to go through our Q&A session.
Thank you, Florence, as well as Regina. Okay, I know I asked you all for questions. Only one have questions in the chat from Christopher. Yes, please, how long does it take to complete the level 1 skill module? Is it appropriate?
I can answer this one. So yes, so the level 1, the practical skills module I believe you're referring to, that's about 10 to 15 hours of learning. It comprises of videos as well as actual assignments. And you can do it at any time from when you've registered for the level 1 exam up until, and you have to complete it before the exam results are ready. So if you don't complete it by then your exam actually is forfeited. So you can do it at any time in that timing. And can you take 2 of the skills modules? So you choose one, but what's actually for members, or for those who are members in the call, you actually already have access to all of the practical skills module as they get released. But for candidates, once you've cleared all the 3 levels and become a full freshman member, then you have access to the rest. But for the moment, you pick one or the 2. I hope that answers the question.
Any other questions?
Let me add a little bit. So for the 2 modules, if you are a level 1 candidate, if you finish one of them, it's basic for you to get the exam result. But if you want to learn more, you can also learn another module. Of course, you cannot step up to level 2, level 3 yet. But if you're a level 1 candidate, you can if you're hardworking, the minimum requirement is 1, but then you can do the other one at your own time.
Thanks, Florence and Regina. Okay. Any other questions from you guys? It's not often that we get these 2 pretty ladies dialing in from Hong Kong for us, but yeah. So this is the best time. But well, since there's no questions, I also would like to share.
Actually, we just got another question, Cindy, about the IFC as well as the ESG certificate. So any eligible requirements? No, not for no hard prerequisites. Certainly not for the investment foundations, because that's, as the name suggests, it's a foundational module. So anyone, it's actually especially targeted to those that don't come from a finance background, or as Ron shared, those that are sitting in the peripheral roles within the industry. So you want to get an understanding about the business. For the ESG certificate, also no, there's no hard prerequisite, but it might be advantageous because the course looks at valuation and portfolio construction. If you have some background in that, that could be advantageous as well. But no prerequisites as such.
Thanks, Regina. So I know there's a lot of information shared today, But I just want to highlight, because yes, CFA Institute no doubt started the CFA program, but over the years, they have evolved not to just the CFA program, but other certificates as well, like what the ladies shared over today. So the good news is the other certificates do add on, and it's a shorter, or is it meaning it's easily attainable versus the CFA program itself. But having said that, and like Jeff, who is also our treasurer for the CFA Society Malaysia, I know he said that at the end of the day, CFA program is still the best. But if you do not have the time for it yet, all these additional certificates that CFA Institute has come up will help you. And a lot of people think that in order to do all these certificates, you need to do the CFA program. No, there's no prerequisite. But the study focus and dedication still must be there. It's not to say like just because it's a short, it's easily attainable means you don't have to put in the focus. Yeah. So yeah, we do have that kind of options for your what kind of certificates that would suit to your career goal. Any other questions from the floor? Okay. I also want to just, since it's not often I get all of you all here, so I also want to highlight, I can't recall whether it was it Regina or Florence that shared, the backgrounds of our candidates, also our CFA charter holders, not necessarily comes from the business background or finance background. You'll be surprised to know at least 30-40% of our database shows that majority of them are coming from non-finance. In fact, some of them from STEM, the science, technology, engineers. In my current board of directors, 3 of them are actually from the engineering background, which is something I was also shocked, because yeah, we always thought these certificates are always for the finance people and whatnot, right? So that's something for you all to also take away from today. Okay, I mean, if there's no other questions, just let me share with you all a few more slides from our end. And then, yeah, and then we'll take it back. But yeah, maybe you can give us in about another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll end this session. Okay, the next few slides is a bit of a repetitive, but it's just easier access for you all. At the end of the day, I know you guys can Google, but if you would like to know more from us, additional resources and materials, you can just click on all those QR codes that we're going to be showing. The first one being, yeah, the CFA program, which Regina has shared with that. And then the next one is the ESG cert. And then the one after this is investment foundation certificate. We also have other certificates that is all available. You can access all of this. Okay, so event. Good news, you are all here invited to CFA Institute APAC Open Day. It's free, it's virtual. It's going to happen on the 12th and 13th of April. I'm aware it's the Hari Raya week, but yeah, if you don't have anything on from 12 to 4 o'clock for that 2 days, you know, it's a good chance to also see, because not only you will get a lot of variety. When I say a lot of variety, means a lot of speakers from the APAC side, and I believe they have 1 or 2 also from the a few from the global side that will be speaking on certain topics. Please, yeah, you can register now at the QR code on screen. So if you're looking into upskilling for a successful career, especially more so in the finance and investment industry, even if you don't have this kind of background, this is a good time to go in and find out more. Okay. So, okay, without further ado, if you would like to know more on what's happening to CFA Society Malaysia, sometimes we do have. Oh, okay. There's a question from Was. Is there any discount for students that have affiliation with CFA? When you say affiliation with the university, right? The answer is not it's not on a discount mode, but the universities that's affiliated with the CFA Institute, there's 16 of them here in Malaysia. If you represent that university, you can reach out to the person in charge and apply for it. It's not 100% guaranteed, but the chances are higher. If that doesn't work out for you, keep a lookout for the next opening of the SS scholarship. So that's the next best thing. It's also not 100% guaranteed, even though you've applied. But again, never try, never know. I believe this scholarship is $350 right, Regina? So if you're the student scholarship, I think it's 250 or 350. It's whatever, but whatever it is, it's still so much cheaper than paying the full price.
The student scholarship would be $400, the discounted price. Yeah.
Oh, it has gone up now. Okay, it's $400 for the student. ISA scholarship, is it?
I think SF is 300 and then student scholarship is 400.
Okay. Any other questions before we end this session? Yeah, but if anything, do follow us at our social media for any latest updates of what's happening to the society. Sometimes we do have events that we will invite all of y'all. But I mean, if it's not a members event and it opens to the public, we will definitely, that'll be the place to find out more.
I just thought I'd add on as well, Cindy. I know some of our attendees here are representing firms. And if there's any interest from you, from the attendees here on enrolling, for example, a group of your employees, or if you think there might be some of these learning offerings might be of interest to your firms, feel free to reach out to us. We do have institutional adoption solutions as well for corporates, and that includes institutional pricing for some of the learning offerings. So that's something as well that is on the table. If you want to learn a little bit more, reach out to Cindy, or Cindy can then connect you with us as well.
Yeah, some of our employer partners, a handful of them are looking into upskilling their employees with some of the certificates that just Regina and Lawrence have shared. Okay, if there's no other questions, I will end this shortly. But if anything, I would like to thank Regina and Florence for doing this for us, and also the rest of you for all your time today. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.